happy Thursday. I am so glad that you're here and watching this whenever it is that you watch this. When you do pop on, say hey. I want to know how you guys are doing. My question today is, how we doing? Right? Like, how we doing? How we doing with being at home? I don't know how many of you guys are on total lockdown or recommended lockdown, but we're on day 4 of no school, and today's live is really just checking in and hopefully being encouraging. I have some things for perspective for myself that I think hopefully will be helpful and encouraging for you guys today. If you're watching this on the replay and this is helpful, let me know. Put hashtag replay and valuable. I'm basically talking to all my parents, my mommapreneurs out there trying to maybe work from home, hopefully working from home. I apologize, today's live is a little bit late. I usually go at 2 p.m., but I have been homeschooling and I actually had some conference calls that ran over. So I'm just happy to be here. I'm happy to be on. I'm happy it works. Yesterday, Facebook was glitchy. How many of you guys have had issues with Facebook? I think it's everybody's on social media now because they're at home. But as you're hopping on, please say hey. I'd appreciate it. Thanks for hanging out with me today. So how we doing, guys? How do we feel? What is our perspective? I'm excited to share tomorrow with you guys. I've been collecting memes, and I think that it is the funniest, best part of this whole thing. So I'm going to start with saying, yes, this is crazy and stressful and all of those negative things, but it's, you just got to see humor in it, right? So we got this. We can do this. I was thinking today about how we may not go back to school. Like, I'm in California. They're predicting that this is not going to end. The kids probably are not going to go back until fall, which is crazy to think about. So for me, I had to wrap my brain around the fact that this might be a long time. So I really just wanted to give a little perspective. I have taught. I actually was homeschooled and then became a teacher. So this is an area that I do know a little bit well, although it's uncharted, right? It's my own kids. Every single day is different. So what made me actually think about doing today's live is because I was kind of documenting, what we were doing as a family, and not even as a family. It's really just me and my kids. I'm married to a first responder who's basically been on call and not at home for the entire week. So it's been just me. And the first couple of days, it was great, right? Like I thought it was great. I was documenting it. I was sharing it on my personal page. And partly because I wanted it to come up. I understand that this is like an unprecedented time. But then we got to yesterday, and y'all, yesterday was awful. Like, it was not a good day. And so I thought, I'm just going to share that. I took a picture of my kids as they were working on their schoolwork, and their faces said it all. It was kind of funny, right? I mean, it's funny today. It wasn't funny yesterday. And when I posted it, I had so many parents reach out to me, message me and say, hey, thanks for sharing that. I felt better. They're like, oh, I thought you were so organized. You guys, we're all in this together. And, there's a lot of people like, oh, we're doing this and this and this and this and this. Everybody's circumstances are different. If you feel like you're in survival mode and you're just trying to make it through the day, that's okay. We're in this together. I'm here to support you. And, but I do think that you need to keep some things in perspective and be mindful of things, because I don't think this is like a 1 or 2 week vacation, right? Like I said, in California, I'm anticipating that this is going to be a long-term thing. So number 1, I would say, is just give yourself some grace. If you have little kids, I remember trying to make it through the day when I was home with my littles before school. So if that's you and you're trying to work your business from home and you're in survival mode, and God forbid you're like me, you're by yourself and you're just trying to do this single parent thing, it's rough. So give yourself some grace. If you've got older kids and they're at each other's throats, you're going to have days like that. So you just have to understand that not every single day is going to be perfect, and that is okay. But that being said, in the grand blip of time, these couple of months are not going to be breakers for your kids. So if they don't get ahead in their studies and you're not, I've seen some schedules out there, you guys, where it's 15. I mean, it literally looked like my class schedule when I taught full time. And that's great. No judgment there either. But for most of us, that might be daunting or unreasonable or unrelatable. So what I wanted to share with you guys today is, especially after yesterday, I got so much feedback about sharing how bad our day was, is you've got to find the space in the middle. Because there's those parents that are trying to get a full-time job. Maybe you have to, right? Now, so I'm not speaking to you guys. I'm just trying to like get some sort of work done and keep some sanity, right? But I do understand that this is kind of a long-term thing. My kids are not going to remember if they did fractions right now, which, by the way, one of mine is, but they're going to remember how they feel. And so yesterday, I literally ended up crying, you guys, at the end of the day because I felt like such a failure as a parent. And it wasn't because they didn't get their studies done, because they actually did. It was because the tone in my house was not at peace. And I know that you guys, many of you can relate to this, and it upsets me just thinking about it, because your kids are going to look back at this time, and it's not going to matter how much work you got done or how much schoolwork they got done. They're going to remember, hey, remember those few months when we were like camped out at home? Like, wasn't that crazy? Or they may be even telling their kids about that, right? Like I saw one of the memes, like to our kids, this is going to be that I walked through the snow 2 miles barefoot backwards, right? They're going to be telling people, remember when we were like at home for months? So the tone of your house is so important. And so today that really became the most important thing. And I am going to protect that. And for me, having the news on, it's okay to stay informed, but when it's on 24/7, that fear, that like right now emergency, it comes through. And I strongly believe that it really sets the tone in your house. So one of the most important things today that I did different was, it's okay for me to check my phone or to like see and stay informed, but really to have that shut off for them, and to really protect that environment and that tone for them, because they're going to remember how they felt. So if you think about, like, if you're stressed out because you think that you need to like homeschool your kids, like exactly, I'm just here to tell you, just take a deep breath, because it's not going to matter. So it's okay to lessen up a little bit. And then I'm seeing all of these ones like, I'm slackers, my kids haven't done anything but watch TV straight. I would say I probably fall somewhere in the middle, right? It's okay to be flexible, but do you really want that tone set for your house for like the next month or 2 months? Probably not. So if this is going to be our new normal and you want to set that tone, what can you do that would be flexible for your work life, for your sanity, for your kids' sanity? And I would say that would be to be prepared in that you have some sort of flexible schedule, right? So when I say flexible schedule, it can be really flexible. It's okay that you guys are all still in your jammies, right? It's okay that they're self-feeding themselves breakfast and lunch. Mine are older, so maybe not so much if you have littles. I have really just had my kids today and do their laundry, right? My kids are a little bit older, so hey, you're going to learn to do your laundry. Come here. This is what mom normally does for you because you're, in school or because you're in sports or whatever. We made a menu as a family. We made the decisions together. We did the shopping. Of course, that was over a week ago, and then they each are in charge of one of those. And that's okay. That's okay that that's their school, right? Now, a lot of people are like, oh, we're streaming this and we're streaming this. That's great. Both of my kids actually are on classes. My daughter had a Zoom for her school today, but I don't want them hooked on electronics the whole time. So other than what they need for school in the morning, there's no electronics in our house in the morning until they get everything done. Then if they're binge watching their Netflix in the afternoon, that's fine. But I have made a list and they have to choose one of those things before they get started. So far it's been like cooking stuff. They've done Legos. My daughter calls it STEM, which is hilarious. They're playing with their Legos, which is totally fine. Art project, and they've actually chosen to do those things so far over the electronics. So everything doesn't have to be this battle, because they're quietly right now, playing with their Legos in the other room, and they've chosen to do that over being, on Netflix or whatever, binge watching, whatever. And it's not that I've made that decision, it's they've made that decision because I encouraged it to be off all morning. Does that make sense? So that's when I say flexible, that's what I mean. They have their checklist of things that they're supposed to do. And it's okay that some of it is chores and some of it is cooking and some of it is laundry and some of it is, whatever those normal things that you as a parent have to get done. Well, they're here more. So let me just tell you, other than my office, which my daughter refused to do her Zoom because it's pretty messy, I'm pretty a neat freak, and my house is as clean as it ever was. Yes, they're here more, and their rooms they're playing, that's fine, but they've been doing chores. So just remember that how you feel, your sanity, if you need a break, that's okay. I have not gotten a lot of work done definitely not yesterday, right? And that's okay. So I can choose to feel guilty or I can choose to move forward from that. Now, do I want to completely stay unproductive? Absolutely not. So when I say make a flexible schedule, for me, this has been working. I literally made a list of things that I need to get done by the end of the week, right? Monday ended up to be mostly homeschooling, trying to figure out how their teachers wanted stuff. Tuesday was very productive for me, so I was able to go through my list. Did I have it written down under Tuesday? No. Yesterday, all hell broke loose, nothing got done. So that was fine. Today, it's going much more smooth and they've been doing great. They've learned the schedule and they've settled into the schedule, which has then allowed me to get much more work done today. But more importantly, we know that the tone of the house is different. So we all sat down last night and we were like, okay, this is awful. I lost my temper. You guys lost your temper. I don't want every day to go like this. So let's come up with a flexible schedule that works for us. So what works for us may not work for you. That's cool. But I will say that since this is an extended amount of time, if you sit down with your kids and you say, look, you've got to get this stuff done for school, right? Maybe read and some math. You don't need to go overboard. Let's keep off of the electronics. And then this is what I would like for you to help. So you can choose. You can help me with laundry. You can help me with cooking. And then I need to get some work done. And if you've got older kids, like I told them, I'm going in my office and I'm going to be in there for a couple of hours. And when I come out, this is what we're going to do, right? It's not raining today. So I'm like, we'll go out back. Like we'll go outside. And so they were pumped on that. So, what is it that you can, I don't want to say negotiate, but work with your kids. I saw a meme that said like, say something about your kids, but use my coworker. That's exactly how it feels today. And let me tell you, it's gone so much better. Now, are we going to have rough days? Absolutely. Do we all like our coworkers every day? Nope. But when you make that schedule with them, that's okay. So I told my kids, look, I don't care what time you get up, as long as you're working on your schoolwork by 10 a.m. That's way lenient, you guys. But they have also learned that they can get a lot more done from 10 to 12:30 on their schoolwork than if they sometimes get up at 8 and they're at school all day, right? Because if you've homeschooled, you've learned, right? It doesn't take as long for one person to get it done. So they've been sleeping in, and that's fine. As long as they get up, they make their bed, they eat their breakfast, and they're working by 10. That's what we negotiated. Maybe something is different for you. If you've got littles, they probably don't sleep in that late, right? Maybe you get started earlier. So decide, what's important. Whatever the school sends home, great. Mine are reading more. I said, hey, we're going to make sure we practice our piano. I want you guys to read. What is it, for you? I've got one who needs the math facts. I'm like, this is great. You need to master math facts. So I do have a list of some resources. The teacher in me, of course, does. If you're looking for those, let me know. I'd be glad. I will say, too, mathfacts.com has, if you've got kids that need, so I would say any K-8 kid needs math facts. They've got the free downloadable. I just printed a whole bunch, and so we just do one every day. It takes him 1 minute. We time it, and then they have he actually checks it. I don't. So 5 minutes tops to do it and check it. So check that out. It's super helpful. Math and reading, you guys, that's really all you need to focus on. Math and reading. And then, of course, whatever your school sends. And then the other one, I will say, I forgot the name, so let me look. Pricelessparenting.com. We downloaded a menu that we all did together. They had screen time that we printed out so that they're logging it because I have a middle schooler, and let's just be honest, they don't always stay on task. And I'm okay with that. But she was supposed to be on one thing and she was ending up texting her friends, right? So we kind of came up with screen time. They're logging how much they're on there. and that works for us. Maybe your kids are, I don't know, more trustworthy than mine. Maybe they're littles and that's not an issue yet. But because mine have to be online so much for school, I'm having them log in. So that's all on there, which was really cool. Also, my kids downloaded a checklist, and it has all of the days of the week. And I think it has like 30 things, and it was free. We just downloaded it. And then they wrote in everything, and I mean everything. I meant from, make your bed, because that's important to me, to every chore, to the extra stuff that they had to get done once a week, right? So maybe it was a cooking or an art or whatever, and piano. Like, we wrote their whole day. And if they get their checklist done, then I don't care if they binge watch stuff, right? If they got everything that I've asked of them to get done, I'm not going to breathe down their throat about every single thing that they're doing after that, because we've established the new normal of, this is the expectation that I need you guys to have. This is the boundary that I need when I'm working, when my, office doors are closed. And then, honestly, the biggest difference that I noticed yesterday and today was it rained yesterday and we didn't get any moving time in. Now, the intention was to stream it, because there's so much streaming stuff that you can do. But I would encourage you guys just to move, like every day. There's all kinds of streaming stuff that you can do outside if you're still able to. But that was one of the biggest differences. And for me personally, it helps me with my patience, right? I know a lot of people that are like avid gym goers that are parents know this. It's a great stress release. And I didn't get that yesterday, and I noticed that my patience was like this, right? So that's a priority for me. So I understand that for my long-term sanity, I've got to get some moving time in. And that's a passion for me, is to get families moving together. So one really cool idea that I saw it on the news too, but I had seen it before, is if your area is on lockdown, but where you guys can still kind of go for walks outside, distancing, is for everybody to put an exercise on their front door in the front of their house. So as you're walking around, you can stop at each one and you can do a different exercise, which, I don't know, the teacher, gym, mompreneur in me love it. So of course my kids, I didn't even ask them to, they heard and then they put it on the front door. So that's a really cool idea. Maybe you can reach out in your community and do that. But don't forget to include, the chores and then the playtime. Like, my kids decided they were going to make a whole Lego room. They've tackled a whole table. Maybe your family has the board games or like those giant puzzles. So I think a lot of parents feel like they have to have every single second of their kid's day structured. I think you just need to have the options out there. And unless they're really little, they will kind of choose for themselves. So for me, it was just pulling some of that out, right? Like, let's pull the sewing machine out. Let's pull the puzzles out. Let's pull the Legos out. And after that, they got into it. And so they're making those choices instead of me telling them to make those choices. Now, maybe that works for you. Maybe it doesn't. But I just want you guys to feel encouraged. Don't feel like you have to get it perfect. Don't feel like you have to structure every single day. I would encourage you not to just fly by the seat of your pants, because you wouldn't do that in your business, right? And if you were a teacher, you wouldn't do that with your classroom. So if your kids are going to be home, figure out those non-negotiables, those daily things that have to get done, what's important to you. Maybe tackle one thing a day as far as what you want them to do, piano or read, or hey, I don't care what art you do. Why don't you just go on YouTube? If you've got kids that can search things, you don't need to figure out all of those things for them. They can literally Google all of the items that you have in your pantry and can figure out something. They can figure out an art. So I gave both of my kids, I said, hey, you need to figure out something that you can do that we already have for art. And one chose like soap carving. They're like, oh, I was like, okay, well, do we have bars of soap still? They did, they found a couple. And so that's what they're gonna do. I didn't have to do that for them. All I did was remind them, right? And then if they get the screen time in the afternoon and the evening, they're not waking up super early. They're not over structured. They're just kind of free playing. And that really is important. So just understanding that it's not gonna be perfect. Even the bad, you're gonna have those bad days. Give yourself some grace. Take lots of breaks if you need to. Maybe figure out what you have to get done as far as your business and then let the rest go, right? Be prepared, like make that schedule and that structure for them in whatever capacity that looks like for you. Even if it's the blocks, just big chunks of time, like, hey, I just need your schoolwork done by 2. Can you just finish by 2? Then you can watch TV. Let me tell you, nothing is more motivating to a kid than telling them, like, you can't do anything until this gets done, right? Because then you kind of take yourself out of it, and it's not this battle between you and them. And then doing the same in your business, right? Because that's all you're doing, is you're figuring out their non-negotiables, just like your work non-negotiables, and everybody's getting those non-negotiables done. And then set the tone in your house. Make it fun. Lighten up a little bit, because they're going to remember this time. And do you want them remembering it that it was stressful and negative and fearful and rigid and structured? Or do you want them to remember, like, hey, remember when we made like this huge fort in the front room and we left it up for a month and we did puzzles and books and our homework and schoolwork in it? Like, you're creating those memories for them, whatever age they are. And they're going to remember this. So, you know, pack a little bit of patience. My kids know, hey, don't bring me anything crazy until my second cup of coffee. And it's a little later these days, I'm not going to lie. And just remind yourself that this will pass. This is a blip in time, but we can absolutely get through this. I hope this helps you guys. Stay well, stay safe, and you got this. I'll see you guys soon.